Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure you check out the Glebe Central Pub, 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of the Glebe. Great food, great drinks, great people. It's all at the Glebe Central Pub. You can go to the website as well, glebecentralpub.com, and the Send Shuttle for $17 round trip. You can find the whole schedule right there, glebecentralpub.com. I'm Ross Levitan, and misery loves company. We got the whole Postcast crew here. I'm with Brandon Piller. I'm with Aleem's Martian, and the Ottawa Senators lose 4-1 to the Seattle Kraken. The West Coast road trip continues. The 10 o'clock starts, and the loss at the end of the day. Pilsy, let's start, as we always do, your immediate reaction as this one developed.
This one doesn't even hurt. Like, this is just one of those games where we're just riding through. It's a road game. You're probably not going to win this one. Yeah, that's basically it, is chalk it up to they didn't lose 5-0 in the first. It was 1-0 in the first. That's about the only victory you can have from this game. Even though, like, I don't know, it didn't seem like that terrible of a game. There was times where the Ottawa Senators showed some flashes of life. There was times they had opportunities, but in the grand scheme of things, they were never in control of this game. Not for 1 second did I believe that they were going to have an opportunity to win here. And they just barely scraped by, canceling out Joey Decord's shutout streak with a squeaker that rolls through him. And Parker Kelly has to dive through the net to put that one in. So it just seems like this team has no confidence right now. There's no edge. There's no power to this team. They're just going through the motions here.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll probably disagree with you there on, Pilsy, is at the beginning of the game, I thought the team actually looked pretty good. They outshot Seattle 13-7 in that first period. For me, I really got to give a lot of credit to Sens legend Joey Decord on this one, man. He made a lot of really nice saves on some great opportunities early, especially on that 5-on-3 that they had in that, he was just standing in there, and they were peppering him pretty good, I thought. But man, there's a few guys on this team right now who are pretty snake bitten looking, right? Like Tim Stützle is probably the first guy you look at.
Buy a goal.
He can't score anymore. It's crazy. He's getting crazy chances. He's shooting the puck like nuts. He's not gun shy. It's I don't know. Maybe he's just gripping it a little too tight.
Yeah, he has 4 shots on goal for Tim Stützle, -2 and 1 turnover, leading directly to a goal against. We'll get in how this game fell apart. Again, 3 goals consecutively, then the empty netter to make it 4-1. Ottawa did make it 3-1 with 7.5 minutes left in the game. Parker Kelly getting a last touch on a point shot from Dominic Kubalik. They're calling it a poke on the NHL scoring summary. It's a wrist shot, poke, and then a wrist shot.
Poke.
Never heard that. He took out the pool cue for that one, I guess. But again, where it's like a garbage time goal. I think I tweeted out at Sens Central, the Sens lead the league in garbage time goals when they're already out of it. And again, 5-on-3 opportunity to start this game for 18 seconds, nothing. And then they give up one the other way. This team just finds ways to shoot themselves in the foot. And tonight it was the players that you want to be leading the charge, shooting the team. Jacob Chychrun, bad defensive zone coverage, leaving Yanni Gourde wide open to go behind Thomas Chabot and get in there for the first goal. Then Thomas Chabot, I don't know, maybe we can pick it up on the first goal and then we'll get to the second and third. But Marshall, what did you see on that first goal where all of a sudden it's a bang play right in the crease?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were doing there. It was like, Gourde just kind of jumped on that loose puck and nobody else was anywhere to be seen. Chabot kind of like, I don't know if he was just trying to get ahead of the play or what, but I don't know why the last man back, I think it was Stützle. It was like, there's like forwards who are further back in their own zone than the defenseman there. So can't really blame Korpisalo on that one. That's just like a loose free puck. He's in all alone. He just buries it.
Yeah, for me, the issue on that first goal is Jacob Chikrin completely turns the puck over trying to clear the zone. Like, he doesn't even get anywhere close to carrying it up with any kind of determination. It's just an easy turnover for Seattle, and then they're able to control it, and then they're able to get a nice shot on net, and Gord buries the rebound quickly before any Sens players can really get on top of it or try to clear it or get it away from danger. But if Chikrin is a little bit more focused with that zone breakout, this doesn't even happen. And that's the thing that we see from the Vancouver game is there's just these small lapses in poor decision makings and turnovers. And I mean, the puck battles were better in this game for sure compared to Vancouver, but it's those little mistakes that when you allow them to keep happening, teams are going to jump on you. And that's what we saw from the first 3 goals here is the Seattle Kraken jumping on Ottawa Senators' mistakes.
They jumped on all sorts of mistakes. And then in the second period, this one was the one that bothered me probably the most of any of the goals, the Tomas Tatar goal, because it's just kind of a simple play through the middle where you go out wide, you stretch out the ice horizontally, and then you find a streaking player through the middle. And a defenseman will tell you that's played a lot in the National Hockey League, 500 games. Thomas Chabot, you'd think he'd be a guy who could be in that sort of category where you just don't give up the middle of the ice unless you know you have help coming behind you. And instead, he goes and takes Jordan Eberle right at the blue line, and it's a nice play. You give Eberle credit, a little one touch through the middle to give speed to Tatar, but my goodness, like that just looks so bad on the video. That's going to be a tough one for Chabot in the video session tomorrow because, man, like you just can't have mistakes like that and breakdowns. And all of a sudden, I think this is actually, I'll pull it back up here. Like this is how it ends up with Eunice Corpusalo on his stomach and Tatar making a nice move and putting that one away. And that's where it really felt the momentum swayed in this game. Ottawa still outshoots Seattle 33-28 in this game. They still get the shot share in terms of shooting attempts. A lot of them missed the net. There were some, especially in that moment where you're like, oh, well, if they get one more, then it's close with 3-4 minutes left when they pulled the goalie. And, Giroux had a good chance. And, they're just shooting wide. They're hitting bodies. It's just a complete disaster. And not that Branny was helping out too much on that specific play that led to the second goal either. It just feels like a comedy of errors, and there's nobody to mop up the mistakes when they happen. And I don't know how long we can keep hearing that they're going to try to get a veteran forward or a veteran player, at least somebody to stabilize, because right now, like, they're as unstable as a team as I've seen them in a long time. This season might be tougher to watch than the 2017-18 season right after that run to the conference finals when things were just falling apart. Like maybe it's the expectations that we had for them, but Pilsy, this thing is it's falling apart worse than a house of cards.
Yeah, it really is just falling apart here. And it seems crazy to say, but they're running out of time in January, and there's only so many kind of ways we can kick it down the line. Like I think before it was like, okay, we got some injuries, let's get these injured guys back. Chabot's back, sure. Matthew Joseph still out, and Shane Pinto not back yet. But like, how long can we keep moving the goalposts? Or at least maybe I'm speaking for myself. How long can I keep moving this goalpost being like, okay, well, I'm not really going to judge them till this, or they still got time now. They got games in hand. Like, I feel like it's just, we're finding out ways to spin zone a masterclass of excuses for this team when it's like, this thing is deteriorating so quickly here. It's January, and already I'm not sure how they're going to get this thing back on track, because to get this back on track, they're going to have to do what Claude Giroux mentioned in his post-game presser a little while ago. I mean, we keep the process going. Maybe we can win 10 in a row and we'll get back on track here. There's not a chance that's going to happen. Like, this road trip is a disaster, just like the last road trip was. It's not going to get any easier for them, and they're nowhere near 500. They have to win pretty much every single game in hand just to feel like they're alive still. So I don't know. I'm getting as close as possible to hitting this panic button.
Yeah, I saw a crazy stat on the TSN broadcast. I'm pretty sure is where it was, where they had the Sens haven't won against a Western Conference opponent in 9 straight games.
Oh, man.
So every time they go on the road, I don't like when it comes to the West Coast, at least. And it's like the 5th longest streak in the NHL or something, like in the last, I don't know how long that record book goes back there, but it was the 5th one on there. And they were throwing it back to early, like 2010s. So I don't know, man. It's tough to watch right now. Like there's clearly some kind of like morale issue with this team. I feel like it's like that 2-0 goal happened, and I knew right then and there. It's like they're not coming back in this one, just because of the way that you can see the whole team sag on the bench, the way their body language is not great, and it's something needs to give here. I mean, they're basically, I mean, they're 14-20. They're pretty much cooked.
They're so cooked. If we hadn't lived through the Hamburglar run, we wouldn't even, like, there would be no hope, zero hope. This team, they stink. And like you look back, and right now they're 4-10-0 on the road this season, and that's 2-0-0 in Toronto as well. So outside of Ontario for road games, I'm going to keep hammering this stat home until they change it. And good luck in Edmonton, a place where they've just had no success outside of the Gambrelment goal from Josh Norris that ended up having Biz on this show. But other than that game, the Senators have just been brutal in Edmonton, and brutal outside of Ontario this season in North America, I must add. On the road, 2-10-0 outside of Ontario, just a complete disaster class over and over again for this Senators team. You look back, and in 2017, the Senators go overseas. They win both games against Colorado. They have high hopes. They have Matt Duchene in the mix. They beat his former team. Everyone's feeling good. They come back, and in their 19 games after coming back, they put up a record of 3 wins, 13 losses, and 3 overtime losses. In the 19 games, which they've now played since Sweden, they have the same amount of regulation losses. They are 6-13 since Sweden. Like that's how bad it is. And we look back at that as some of the darkest days in franchise history. And I can't help but think we're going to be looking back at the quote from Claude Giroux after last game, saying that they're a consistent effort away from rattling off 10 straight wins. And it might go down as we're a team quote. It might go down as some of the most delusional content that we've ever used on this show. Things are that bad right now, and they're not getting any easier going up to Alberta for the next 2 games. And Martian, you're right, man. Like the road trips, especially at West, have just been a complete disaster class. And like, how do you think Shane Pinto's feeling coming off his suspension? He's probably already got his tail between his legs just because he's missed the time he has. But imagine coming back and this is what you're coming into, Martian. Like, my goodness, I don't even know where to go from there.
I mean, maybe him just coming into the room might help with the team morale thing. I know Pinto's a well-liked guy on the team, but like that rattling off 10 straight wins quote is hilarious, because I think it's more likely that they rattle off 10 straight losses points.
They're on their way.
Yeah, it's scary, but yeah, Pinto coming back into that mess of a locker room right now, it can't be a fun idea.
And the results from that year after that Sweden trip, that set this team back 5 years.
5? We're still set back, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was the 2018 season. Like, we're 5 years removed from that. That's how bad that type of a record and stretch can set a team back. I don't know if I can tack on another 5-year sentence here, like, then making this a full 10 years of just despair, like
just doom and gloom.
Because it's like at that point, the Ottawa Senators were pushing all in and felt like this was their window to be contenders, right? They make that big push for Duchene, doesn't work out. Now the Ottawa Senators are spending to the cap. They're locking guys in long-term. They're trading away high draft picks to bring in guys. They're signing free agent deals, big ticket free agent deals. And this is where they're at. Like they're pushing all in, and it just feels like the league and every team that plays this team is calling their bluff and are like, no, you guys are not where you think you are.
Dude, Mathieu Joseph can't even play on Saturday against Edmonton because he has to be on LTIR because they have no money to activate him until Calgary. And even then, they're going to have to make a corresponding move. And it might have to be that Smakal and Cruikshank go down, and they will be at the cap to the penny, which has never happened before. They are as tapped out The excuses that they don't spend it, they're long gone. They have spent as many pennies as you can possibly pinch together, and they put it in the turn your change into bills, and they've come out with just a lump of coal. There's no money coming out. It is a complete disaster. And people in the chat are asking what their record is since the fans chanted, "We want playoffs" in that game against Columbus. And your mathematician friend here, me, I'm figuring it out right now. So I'll get back to you on that one. But Martian, do you have a fix? Like, is there anything you think this team can do to either get some confidence, get some results, get anything? Give me some hope, please.
They just need some bounces, boys. I think they just need to get the right bounces here. That's all we need. That's what we know. That's what's been going on. Honestly, though, I do have a question. Like, Pilsy, maybe you can answer this while Ross does his little math equation over there. Like, do you believe this team is better than the record?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I still do too. But, like, I mean,
Martian, the only teams worse are San Jose, Anaheim, and Chicago, teams that are actively tanking.
It's crazy.
Two of those teams, Anaheim and San Jose, both have 9+ game losing streaks this season.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of give ourselves a hard time for being like, oh man, we did it again and we overhyped the summer. But on paper, this team is set up. I don't want to say set up for success. Like, I don't think anyone was talking too crazy about the hype for this team. Is just, okay, the year before, meaningful games was the goal. Okay, now you got to get past meaningful games. You got to get to playoffs. That's the next goal. That's where things were at. And this team now sits 29th in the league. And you can say games in hand. Okay, switch it to point percentage. I believe they're 28th in the league, maybe even after tonight's game less. So you're not getting any better here. And you fired the general manager, you fired the coaches. Next in line, there's got to be accountability from the players. And Martian, you mentioned this months ago. It's wild for a team underperforming like this with guys with such big ticket contracts that nobody's had to sit on the bench.
Yeah, I think that's got to be coming soon. Like, you got to imagine in the next few games, that's something we might end up seeing. But yeah, man, it's crazy to me that they're as bad as they are right now. This record is it's not what we expected to this point in the season. I don't really even know what to say about them at this point. It's tough to watch, and I'm not too pleased.
I've figured out the mathematics behind it. We will talk about it right after I tell you about our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. Glebe Central Pub, right in the heart of the Glebe. Go visit them for great food, great drinks, and be around great people at the Glebe Central Pub. Whether it's darts, which you can play with your friends, always a fun drinking game, just great time at the Glebe Central Pub with that. Or you can always check out their Instagram, Glebe Central Pub, their website, glebecentralpub.com. You can see what's going on, whether it's open mic nights, whether it's live music. They've always got something going on at the Glebe Central Pub. You can also your shuttle tickets for $17 round trip to and from the CTC. Sue gets you there. She knows all the back routes. If the Queensway is busy, no worries. Sue will get you there right on time. I always love how she gets you there in time to grab a pint on the way to the seats, and you're in your seats in time for the national anthems. It's good vibes. It's good people. It's the Glebe Central Pub. The Postcast wouldn't exist without the Glebe Central Pub, so make sure you go support them and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. The vibes are free at the GCP. Go visit them at 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of the Glebe.
Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel, the official online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, and for a good reason. They're North America's #1 sportsbook. Why would you use anywhere else? It's the best sportsbook app out there, I promise you. It's simple, safe, secure, easy to use, and for our friends in the States, if you're a new customer, you can get a $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet that wins. Math guy, that's $150 off $5 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. It's not just hockey, guys. You can bet on football. Playoffs are coming up. Week 18 is going to be a wild one. You can bet on basketball, baseball, golf, whatever you like, you can find it on FanDuel. So check it out today, guys. It's fanduel.com/lockedon to get in on the action. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and at Laleem's Martian. Make sure you're following the Martian on Twitter. Got great content, getting in the mix there, trying to set up his ice crew for next season. As we get to what happened in Sensland since the "We Want Playoffs" chant, the Ottawa Senators have played 53 games. That feels like a lot since the "We Want Playoffs" chants. It all started in Chicago. Remember that game, Pilsy? It all started
Pilsy.
in Chicago.
How does that game keep being brought up?
It might go down in
memorable.
history. It really is. Senators are 21, 28, and 4 in 53 games. That's 27th in the National Hockey League in points percentage.
Wow.
The only teams worse, San Jose, Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus, and Montreal.
Cool.
That's where they're at. And then they're just behind the Detroit Red Wings and Buffalo Sabres. Like, that's where they're at right now over the last 53 games sample size. Basically the Jacob Chychrun era. Not to put it all on him, but they traded for him. They got that big win in Madison Square Garden in Derek Brassard's 1,000th game. Then they came home. He scores a goal in his first home game. And then the honey cruller crumbled. That's what his grandpa was eating, right? When he scored the goal. Remember, that was a big thing. Yeah, well, that's all crumbled. That's gone. It's moldy. It's done. You can't eat that. And yes, Eric, we are all delusional. So it's just a matter of what do you do to get out of this? And to me, it feels like the next step has to be either players getting benched, players getting moved, and there is going to be, injury aside, knock on wood, you never want guys to get hurt. And if nobody does over the next couple of games, something has to give with the roster for Mathieu Joseph to be back, Shane Pinto to sign a contract and be back. Got any idea what it's going to be, Pilsy?
Well, it really seems like this this new executive front office is working on something, right? Like, that's got to be a reason why they decided to make those decisions to stabilize things and say, okay, we've got our front office group. Now let's start making the moves we feel are necessary. I got to think you're looking at Kubalik and maybe Brandstrom as guys that are going to get moved out here to have an opportunity to free up some cap space. I mean, Tarasenko, it seems early to be doing this, but if teams are interested in him, you got to pull the trigger there. He's not sticking around here, that's for sure. So one of those three guys is going to go here. And I have a feeling that maybe Eric Brandstrom being told the morning of a game, hey, you're going to play fourth line left wing, is not a sign that he's in good graces with the coaching staff and or the new front office. So that kind of seems like writing on the wall for me. But I got a feeling someone's getting moved here to free up cap space so that they have the option to bring in maybe a veteran bottom six guy like we've kind of been hearing rumors about.
Hot Lunch saying, what's Josh Bailey up to?
That'd be a cheap option.
Very cheap.
And Jack Capuano's still here, his buddy. So there you go.
I agree with you, though, Pilsy. I do think getting put on forward as a defenseman is a very bad sign for where you're at. So it's not looking good for Brandstrom in that sense. But I also agree that I mean, I don't think that it would ever be a major piece that they would end up moving out at this point. Like, everybody's talking about like the core guys. I don't even want to entertain that kind of conversation. It's I agree with the guys you mentioned. It's Kubalik, it's Brandstrom. And Tarasenko as a free agent has to be in the conversation too. So that's where we're at.
How soon do you make a trade? Like, are you hurrying to get something done, even if it's not the best deal? Because this is going to be, we all remember Pierre Dorian's first move as GM, trading away Mika Zibanejad for Derek Brassard. I was going to say and a second, but actually he added the second to Mika Zibanejad to make that trade. So you always remember your first. And Steve Staios is looking to make his first move since becoming Ottawa Senators GM. So I don't know if he adds pressure to that or if Dave Poulin now being involved. Like he said, it's going to be a collaborative effort between him, Ryan Bonus, Dave Poulin, and obviously Michael Andlauer will have a say in everything as well. But I hate that we're talking about this 34 games into the season. I really do, but something has to happen for Joseph to be added back in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do something. So to answer your question earlier, I think, yeah, something must be coming soon.
I'll put a different spin on it. Do you think they're gonna make a trade for some of those players we mentioned, Martian, like kind of like Colorado did, just moving Tatar for a 5th-round pick simply just to move guys out and move money? Or do you think those guys are going to be part of a deal to try to make an actual on-ice impact?
I think they got to try to make an actual, roster move, like where they're getting rid of somebody to bring somebody else in, hopefully, or at least, just to dump a guy like that. You have to do it in today's NHL, I guess, with the hard cap the way it is. But I'm not sure, Pilsy. Honestly, I could see them doing either one. If I'm sure they're going to try to do something to bring in a new player, but if they can't do it and they need to clear the cap space to get Joseph and Pinto in there, then they're going to just have to do it the cap way, and where they just dump them off for future considerations or something, which would be a steal for any other team. But a lot of teams are in the same situation where they're up against the cap. So
yeah.
But then other teams, smart teams like the Seattle Kraken, bringing it back to tonight's 4-1 loss, they trade a 5th-round pick to add Thomas Tatar, and he scores a goal. He's playing on their top line. They've got Ellie Tolvanen, who was buzzing tonight on their third line waiver pickup. Like, they're getting these solid additions for nothing. Whereas Ottawa, look at the players that they've brought in. And Tarasenko, sure, he's actually contributed a decent bit here.
Yeah, I like him.
He's been fine. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they gave up. That was the DeBrincat replacement. DeBrincat just got named to the All-Star game today, as well as Cam Talbot, who is an All-Star, then played for the Sens, and now is an All-Star again. That's his last 3 seasons.
Yeah, find the common denominator here. Jesus.
Oh my goodness. And funny enough, like, I always come down and see my parents during the Christmas break. And last year, the 2 games that I saw was DeBrincat scoring twice against Washington to cut to that comeback win. And then Cam Talbot's masterclass against the Boston Bruins in that shootout win. That was a year ago, almost to the day. And now you look at it, those 2 are all-stars, both in different cities. And the Ottawa Senators are exactly the same spot in the standings that they were when all that went down. So the more things change, the more they stay the same, I guess, is kind of the way that it's going right now. And like, this wasn't a goaltending issue tonight. The goaltending was good. Korpisalo made some big saves. This was the furthest thing. And 2 episodes ago, the title was "We've got a goaltending issue." That was not the problem tonight. The problem was they just couldn't beat another good goalie at the other end. And then once the problem started, not even the first goal, but the second one, and then, I mean, not goals like bang, bang, but pretty close, 4 minutes apart. And in the final minute of the second period, allowing that third one, you're just like, all right, the team's folding like a cheap 10 again. Here we go. Same old story. This team cannot push back. And like, while we're on the topic of players, and I think this is kind of a good last thing, and then we can recap, a couple other the mistakes, but like, I don't think I noticed Brady Tkachuk or Josh Norris more than twice in this game. Like, those guys, I feel like they need to do a bit more. Brady just feels like he's not very strong on his feet right now. Like, there were a couple plays where he was trying to stick handle the puck and he like couldn't hold on to it. Like, we know he's never going to be a speed guy, but you got to think that the puck possession's got to be something that he thrives with. And then, yeah, I don't know. Like, Batherson, obviously he's been playing great since early December, but you look at it, Martian, and he gets put back on that line with Norris and Tkachuk. All of a sudden, look, the offense dries up too.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not looking like themselves, any of those guys. Like Tkachuk, especially tonight, I noticed that like wasn't finishing his checks as hard as he usually does. And then you mentioned the falling over. Yeah, there was 2 or 3 occasions where like he just kind of lost his balance and went down, or he was like diving and falling and stumbling. It was not his typical kind of game where he plays that real strong, drive it to the net kind of game. You got to wonder what's going on with him. I don't know if you guys have mentioned, like, there could be an injury there that could be a valid excuse for it. But at the same time, we talked about body language earlier. Like, he's probably the number 1 guy right now for like poor body language, especially towards the end of the games. Like, you can see if they put the cameras on him, he's punching stuff, he's throwing stuff, he's hanging his head. That's not exactly like perfect leadership, like body language wise, in my opinion. So, he's obviously in a little bit of a slump right now, and it's probably draining on him mentally right now, just being on this team. It's draining on us all as fans. So imagine the pressure he's feeling when he's getting the microphones thrown in his face every day, and he's got to say basically the same stuff over and over again, and everything he does say gets picked apart. So, you got to kind of feel for the guy a little bit in that respect, but he needs to get it going. That's for sure. You're still on mute, Russ.
CHSH22 says, what does it say about the team that they get called out by the coach publicly and then turn in that effort tonight? I don't think the effort overall was necessarily the problem. I think it was just key moments and bad decisions in those key moments by key players. Chychrun, Chabot, Stützle's giveaway. Like, we didn't even mention that goes the other way. Like, Pilsy, walk me through, because I'd love to revisit that third goal that goes in and really kind of puts the dagger in the Senators in the last minute of the second period.
Yeah, the dagger was already in. That third goal was the extra couple twists. Just no, not pull it out, Ross. That would provide relief. This was like, okay, it's in there. You're experiencing pain. Now let's see if we can ramp that pain up a bit and just twist this around and see what organs we can hit here, because Timmy just slips and falls. And as he's doing that, he moves the puck backwards as he's falling, which I don't know. It can be a right play if your defenseman can get there, but it seems like a tough decision to make, putting yourself out of the play and moving the puck the wrong way. And it goes back the other way. It's a 2-on-1. Yamamoto, I thought it seemed like he was thinking past this entire way, and he's able to slide it over to Burakovsky. And as soon as that play was unfolding, I just knew the Ottawa Senators were going to get scored on here. Like, that is classic moment for the Ottawa Senators to just allow a quick goal. And sure, a 2-on-1, most teams are able to capitalize on those, but it seems like up against the Sens, that's like 100% game over, nice, quick, easy goal for opponents.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. What's going on here? I feel like they've almost lost their identity a little bit. Like, they used to be that really.
What is their identity?
That's a great question, because it used to be the hardworking young team that's going to give you a good battle every night, right? And it doesn't. Now their identity seems to be a good, skilled young team that cheats on the wrong side of the puck and then ends up giving up halfway through the game if you get a couple early ones on them. So I don't know.
Well, their team, I mean, Ray Ferraro said it best. If you play a structured game, you're going to get a ton of chances against them. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened again tonight. The Seattle Kraken went to the net and got rewarded on the first goal with Yanni Gourde just finding his way in past, I just want to call it Main Street. Nobody was even blocking him. He was just hanging out. And then people are very, we used to be pesky, Hotline says. We used to be a team that at least teams would leave playing and they'd be like, oh, they gave us a good game. But right now it's a complete sideshow. And I'm curious, because at this point, like, words are brutal. It's like a toxic relationship where you're just saying the same thing over and over again. And you're just like, okay, at what point do we just call a spade here? And like, I couldn't care less who's talking to the media after tonight's game. I couldn't care less. It's going to be the same things. And it was refreshing for a week or two where it's like Jacques Martin actually like knows what the problem is. And heck, he diagnosed it pretty well today. Like, it's a mental toughness, a mental maturity that they are right now. They're worst in class right now. They really are. And it's something that I don't think one player personnel change is really gonna change that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's just time, and time is the only thing that I feel like can change this. Like, I'm already thinking, hopefully next season's better. Like, this season's already a wash.
That's so tough to like digest.
It's so bad. I think for a final question here, we're gonna get to, it's Isaiah saying, out of the core, who's most likely to get traded? Can I put that on you right now, boys? Or is it something where, we just have to take a deep breath? Let's get through this road trip. How about that, Isaiah? I appreciate the question, the little tip in the guitar case. We always do appreciate that. But I don't really want to answer this. The one thing I'll say, though, is Thomas Chabot has a no trade clause that kicks in this summer. Just saying. Mm-hmm. So it's something where you have to make a decision. I know that coaches, it's not just Jacques Martin, it's not just DJ Smith. They like lefty righties. So you got to think, and it's so ironic, and maybe it speaks more to Pierre Dorion than anything else. You have to make a decision between Jacob Chychrun and Thomas Chabot, because Jake Sanderson's going to be there on the top four on the left, and you need to get a right shot defenseman. Like, how good was Adam Larson tonight for the Seattle Kraken? anything that goes in his corner, he rubs the body, he gets the puck, he makes an easy play on the tape, and it's out. It's just so simple, but the Senators are making it a mockery. Like, even there was a play where I think it ends up being the goal. Yeah, because Chychrun had a long shift there. Chabot ends up jumping on at the end of the shift, but they start on a breakout, and Chychrun just makes a bad decision on the pass. And then instead of being able to pass the puck and change, now he's caught on his heels and he's got to stay in the zone. He extends his shift. I'm actually going to pull it up here as I throw it back. Or no, I've got it here pulled up right now. The goal that went in on that play, Jacob Chychrun, 1 minute and 18-second shift. Like, I just don't understand how that happens. And when he can have such a simple play. Anyways, it's just bonehead decisions. And I don't know. It's not going to change overnight with Jacques Martin, but you hope to see something here in the next little while. Pilsy, where's your panic meter at? Because I saw that was another, that was Tim having that in the chat too.
Yeah, I feel like people have been jumping on me in the chat for this, and rightfully so, but you got to understand, we're the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. If I'm hitting the panic button in the first 20 games, how's the rest of this season going to go? So I've been holding it off. But like I said, I'm becoming a masterclass in making excuses and spin zones for how this team isn't quite dead yet. It's up there, Tim. Like, we're at a solid 7.7, 7.8. Like, we're approaching the 8 out of 10 panic index. Like, I'm going to be looking on Amazon to buy a panic button so I can actually smash it pretty soon here, because I can't play this game anymore. And the Ottawa Senators, no matter how much leash and extra rope I give them, they don't take use of it. And there's not much I can hold on to here, Martian.
Instead of the panic meter, you should do like the numbness meter, like, can you feel it when I touch you here?
Honestly, yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I'm not feeling pain or hurt or anger anymore. Yeah. It's just like
apathy, man. It's like, It's crazy that we're at that point right now, but it's very sad. They need to rattle off 10 straight, boys.
No, did you not see someone in the chat earlier said if they rattle off 10 straight wins, they'd be 11th in the conference in points percentage. Like, that's how far back they are, dude.
Yeah, man, they're so far back. Think about all the teams they would need to jump over. It's basically impossible.
Only team in the league without an OT or shootout loss after the Anaheim Ducks.
That's the other thing. I've never been so on board with the 3-point system as I am today.
Somebody actually went through and did it. They'd be even further back.
Oh my God.
They'd be even further back, dude. Because they only had 2 wins in overtime, right? Or 3.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, they're not even going to overtime, dude. They implode in the second period.
Okay, never mind then.
It really is something.
Yeah, Martian, that's what I'm talking about. You just had an excuse loophole that might have helped this season out. Nope, can't even use that.
No.
I don't know where I saw it. I wanted to pull up the 3-point system, the 3, 2, 1, 0.
Right. I believe you.
I might even have the account muted. I'll figure it out one day, but yeah, it doesn't help him out. It really doesn't help him out. Right now, it's just a complete mess, and tonight was no different. 4-1 the score. Senators lose to the Seattle Kraken. The Senators are 3-5 in 8 games under the new interim head coach, Jacques Martin. They're 4-10-0 on the road this season, and they are 6-13-0 since coming back from back-to-back wins in Sweden. The road doesn't get any easier. They go to Edmonton. By the way, just saw on Twitter, the Oilers are having their skills competition tonight, and I wonder if that's just going to continue on Saturday. Hammer over 2.5 points for Connor McDavid. Easiest money you'll ever make. Look at his points per game. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Senators with a preview. Then they play Tuesday in Calgary, Thursday at Buffalo, before coming home to take on the San Jose Sharks next Saturday, then Colorado the Tuesday afterwards. And then, the first of 4 matchups against the Montreal Canadiens this late in the season will be Thursday, January 18th at the Canadian Tire Center. As we said, 4-1 the final score. Seattle beats the Ottawa Senators, send outshoot Seattle 33-28. Pilsy, like the power play, we'll talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Senators. 0 for 4. They miss on a 5-on-3 opportunity that could have set the tone early in this game. They win the face-off battle. They get double the amount of hits as Seattle. They blocked 20 shots, including 6 in the first 10 minutes of the game. Hamonic had 2. He was laying out on that first PK. But all in all, it's another L. Pilsy, some final thoughts as we dissect this one on Locked On Senators, your team every day.
This is bad. It's tough staying up late to watch this team, and it's not going to get any better. Enjoy your Friday off of no Sens hockey. Get rested and get ready to be hurt again on Saturday.
We are suckers for pain.
We really are.
Before we go, couple spins for the boys.
No.
1 spin.
I'll do a spin. That's how bad we're at here.
Okay, so we're down 1 spot to 5. By the way, the Senators have the 4th best odds at the first overall pick. So look at San Jose 0-10-0 in their last 10 games. I mean, that's impressive. That is impressive. Second spin. The Ottawa Senators jump up to 2nd.
Hell yeah.
This would be great because
that's an ideal lineup here, actually.
Yes, the San Jose 1st, Ottawa 2nd, Chicago 3rd, Anaheim 4th, Columbus 5th. So the only Eastern team in the top 4. Martian, your pick. Ready? Here we go. No movement.
I'm disgusted by this.
Yeah, so am I.
It's gross.
And then for the citizens. Down 2 spots to number 6. But this is honestly where we're at right now. And it's brutal. It's brutal. We're here. Shout out Joey Decord. I did not say I told you so. I would just like everybody to know that I didn't say I told you so. I didn't. But man, he almost scored a goal tonight, man. A little pool shot off the side. Like he's a stud. He has that it factor. He made every save look so easy, even the hard ones. He was kicking them out, man. I love it. I love it. Martian, final thoughts from you, brother?
Man, I don't even really have anything for you. I just think it just sucks right now. So hopefully they can. I like watching them win, even when the season's over. As long as the team's looking like they're having fun and they're doing some cool stuff out there, it's enjoyable, at least a little bit. But with the kind of, I don't even want to say the effort was bad. It's just they need to figure themselves out. It's just they need to get it going, and it's not fun to watch, which is like why previous seasons were bearable. I don't think it's the expectations. I think it's just like the overall general vibes. They're just not good.
And you don't feel like once they fall behind, you just don't even feel like they're going to have a chance to win. And things are bad when Parker Kelly's speaking to the media after this game, and the quote is about them blocking 20 shots. That's what we're hanging on to right now. Yeah, the team blocked shots.
Great job.
I'm pretty sure Seattle blocked like 23 shots.
Yeah, they did.
22. So they beat in that category too.
Raise the banner. Less block shots in a losing effort.
All right, that's a great place to leave it. We appreciate everyone for staying up with us. If you're listening to this on Friday morning, hope we at least gave you a bit of levity. It's a tough balancing act because, we did set the expectations to a certain standard this season before it all started. And you can dig up some tweets from that win over Washington, game 4 of the season. They were 3-1. They looked like the Harlem Globetrotters, and now they're the Washington Generals. But appreciate you guys all sticking with us throughout the season. We ain't going anywhere. We're going to deliver time and time again, whether they vent or vibe in the postcast. We will be here. We'll chat with you Friday on Locked On Senators. And then we got the whole crew back Saturday, Edmonton Oilers. We'll see if the Oilers continue their skills competition or if the Senators show up and get big 2 points in oil country. For today, though, we say goodbye. Make sure you're following along with @Laleem's Martian on Twitter. We're @Sens Central. The podcast is Locked On Senators, available wherever you get your podcasts. Let's get some Go Sens Go in the chats. I like Ben throwing the Go LOSP Go in there. We appreciate you very much. For Martian and Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been another emotional support session of the Locked On Senators postcast. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which has your team every day.